Banana, banana, bonus episode here, everyone. It's just Amax here today. Unfortunately, my cohort Adam Reiser is indisposed somewhere at an undisclosed location deep in the 51st state of Canada, probably clinging to his life by his literal fingernails or at his in-laws, perhaps both. But a long time ago, and yet somehow in the future, we have pre-recorded a bunch of content for you, so the show will continue as scheduled. You will not see any interruption, but by the time we start recording again, this will be dated information, and y'all have the attention span of an Amazon account. So wanted to put this out there for everybody so we could keep tabs on what could it possibly be. The 2026 Road to Greece, the IPSC Shotgun World Shoot Qualifier. We have had round 4 in Kansas City, Kansas at the Mill Creek Rifle Club, and some of the points are shaping up. So I wanted to talk over some of that for you. Just a brief episode here today, again, because my cohort is not here, so some of our normal shenanigans will not be in this episode. But we had another incident, so the Gary of the day, seriously, people, I'm not saying don't dry fire with live ammunition, but be careful. There was another incident, and the next stop is my hometown, and I would really like the hotels near Forest Lake to continue to let us stay there. So please be careful. Please be careful. Bad things travel in threes. So let's maybe not dry fire in the hotel on August 14th, or even for multi-gun nationals. Either of those two. Maybe just, maybe cool it a little bit. Just a little bit. But we have had the next round of qualifying scores. The series is shaping up here, so I'm going to toggle back and forth between round 3, round 4, see what has changed, maybe what hasn't changed, and how things are shaping up. Again, these are unofficial results. Unofficial results, this is just for us to keep tabs as we're going along. Word on the street is that there are 2 lists out there going around, and some of them have conflicting information. As with most of you, it seems like the more you care about what the lists say, the more likely you are to not have read the selection policy on IPSC-USA.com. IPSC-USA.com, IPSC-USA.com is where the official policy is at. These are just preliminary results for us to follow along for fun. When people ask me which list is going to get used to pick the team, the answer is neither of those. These are just preliminary results for us to follow along. The real policy is posted prominently for all of you to see on that website, which, in case you forgot, is IPSC-USA.com. All right, but going into the 4th round here, and coming out of the 3rd round, top 3 in open was Varric Bizey, Mike Whitesides, Chance Landernaugh, and Kevin Harrington. That has flipped quite a bit. Some of our dark horses who didn't shoot last fall are starting to rise up towards the top. And we have Varric Bizey coming home with a win once again. So he has 3 hundos. He's got the perfect score to get picked. He's got a golden ticket to Greece, I could say at this point, because it's literally impossible to get more points than he has. Behind him, John Waddell. John Waddell put in a very close 98.65 in Kansas. So John is sitting on 282.5 points. We all know that John and Varric were definitely the heavy favorites to be at the top of the ticket for the open world shoot team. The question is who would the other guys be? And rising up quickly has been Joe Farewell. Despite having some serious gun issues, he ended up with an 81, so still a decent score. And with his 95 and 92 that he had coming into this round, he is sitting on 269 points. And he's in a a third position, and right on his heels, my buddy Ruben Alexson from Vortex Optics. He has a 95 from last fall, an 89 from Texas this spring, and then at this match put up another 80. So he has 3 solid scores, putting him right on Joe's heels to round out the top 4 slots. Mike Whitesides is moving down the list a little bit with a 79.4 at this particular match. And so he's sliding a little bit. The thing we got to know about Mike Whitesides, I hope he doesn't mind us saying this, but by the time we get to the World Shoot, he will be a senior. So he is not currently listed in the senior standings, but if we look at his points, keep that in mind. Not going to get too deep into a lot of these races as we get down into the bottom because it starts to get speculative, and don't want to jinx folks or shall we say sway influence on what happens. Coming out of round 3 in modified, yours truly was sitting at the top. We all knew that wasn't going to last because I have mediocre scores at best. We have Taylor Olhausen rising to the top. He's sitting on a hundo, a 97, and a 95 for 293.4. I would say we all had him as a solid pick for making the team. Coming up behind him in number 2 currently, Connor Freiberger, sitting on an 87 from this spring, and then 2 solid scores from round 3 and 4, a 92 and a 96. I would say Connor is probably in the conversation for who those people would be on the team. And then in third place right now, Steady Eddie in the high 80s, we have Hunter Andreas. I would think he's also a prime candidate for that bubble slot, currently sitting at 263.2. And then we have some other people. All right, so not really sitting in the top right now, but we got Sam Larkin. Sam Larkin got a hundo this spring in Texas. He had a solid performance in South Carolina, and he probably doesn't want us to talk about a lot what happened in Kansas, but it did move him up the list. He has 3 scores. He's on the board. Andrew Tarver also putting in solid 80% at this match, so that moved him up the board, edged me out. I'm currently sitting in 6th place. I had a decent match, wanted to be higher. I mean, you got to be putting up 90s if you really want to be in these bubble slots, and that's pretty much how it is. Now, further down this list, who else do we got? We got AJ Anthony. AJ Anthony won modified division at this match, put up a solid hundo. He's sitting on a hundo and a 99 from Texas this spring, but he only has 2 scores, which has him buried in the list. If you know anything about AJ Anthony, we got 2 rounds to go. He's going to be at least one of those. I would think AJ is going to crack into the top 4 somewhere at some point, but anything can happen. And until he has 3 scores, he's buried in the Festivus with the rest of us, as is not the 9th spot, Houston Russell. Houston Russell put up a solid 94 at round 2 and a hundo at round 3, was not present at round 4. So 2 rounds to go. We're still looking to see if Houston Russell can move up the board as well. Not going to call who we think is going to be in the top 4 for this group, but you would have to include AJ Anthony and Houston Russell in that conversation, along with the 10th spot. Lena Miklik sitting in 10th currently with only 2 scores, but she's got a pair of 96s. So she's sitting on 192 points, 2 rounds to go. I think she could certainly continue to deliver on that level, which would move her up the list as well and would unlock the, shall we say, the Justine Williams question as to if she's a better candidate for the overall team or for a ladies modified team. Just a question, just throwing it out there. That will be decided later. Discuss amongst yourselves. But a solid performer no matter where she ends up. Definitely someone to keep your eyes on. Lena Miklik. Moving into standard. Standard division coming out of round 3. We had Matt Martini sitting on top. He had 2 solid scores. That's not true. Well, maybe it is true. I don't see anybody in standard that had 3 scores coming into round 4. So this could shake up quite a bit. Sitting at the top of standard coming into round 4, we had Matt Martini at the top with 195. Nate Staskowitz right behind him with 193. Jeremy Leitner not too far in the rear with a 185. And then J.K. Kahn with a 172. At the end of round 4, we have Nate Staskowitz top in the board with a 95.6, a 97.6, and winning the whole dang thing in standard division. So Nate got the hundo in Kansas. That has him on the top of board with the 293.6. Jeremy Leitner also putting in a solid performance. It's coming into the round with a hundo and an 85, putting up a solid 92. He's in the number 2 spot at 277. Behind him, JK, also holding on to his consistency, and he has an 81, a 90, and a 92 for 264. And also holding what she's got, Becky Yackley, with a consistent 80-ish%. She had an 88 last fall, a 77.7 in Texas, and a 78.2 here in Kansas. So she rounds out the number 4 slot. But right on her heels, Shiloh Mattoon, and not too far behind, Andrew Yah. Noticeably missing from this list, we had Matt Martini. I believe he was doing NRL Hunter things this weekend, but he's still got 2 rounds to go. So we sitting on a 95 and a hundo. I'm thinking he can put up another hundo or at least a 90-something, probably to be up in that top 4 conversation, as could Evan Craig, sitting on a pair of 90s, 94 and a 96. From Kansas, he had a 96 in Kansas. So I would look for Evan Craig to move up that list as well. And then, not far behind him, we got Tim Ho, a Minnesota local, and the next stop on the trail is in Minnesota. So Tim Ho could even be putting himself up there in that bubble slot. That is standard division. Now we move into the manual. We had more signs of life from manual in Kansas than we had in South Carolina. Coming out of round 3, we're sitting at Sam Ryberg on the top, Tennille Chittister in the second spot, Katrina Reed in the third spot, Travis Vogel in the fourth, and Ross Haney in fifth with only 1 score, but it be a hundo. And then in sixth, we had Lee Satterfield with a 93 with 1 score. So we have kind of 2 dark horses deep in the list, and then some folks sitting on some good scores on the top. Coming out of Kansas, we still got Sam Rydberg sitting on the top. He's got 272, putting up a 91.7 in Kansas. Tennille Chittister held on to her second place spot. She got, with her hundo in South Carolina, her 66.5 puts her at 210 points for the overall team. And in third place, we have Travis Vogel, my buddy from Vortex. He put up a solid 70% score for almost an even 2 hundo to hold on to the third spot. And Ross Haney, who we really expect to top this list, put in a pair of hundos. He has a 200 flat. So Travis just edged him out by having 3 scores. Ross has 2 rounds to go where he could put up solid scores. I would expect him to move up this list. And then further down the list, we have Katrina Reed, who put in a 48. So she's sitting on 189 points, probably more of a ladies manual team candidate. And then behind her, Evan Nichols, who put in a 93 at this match where together with his 87 from this spring puts him at 181. He is jumping from modified last fall into the standard division. I would expect if Evan is able to put in some more scores at the final 2 rounds, I would expect him to move up this list as well. Moving into categories. I don't love talking about categories because these people are very passionate and they like to get mad at me. But in open lady, coming out around 4, Amory Reed is still sitting at the top of the list with a 192, banking a 66.69 in Kansas. Behind her, still Tina Garcia with a 52.8, and she's sitting on 163 points. This is where it gets interesting, I would say, as to if a team is going to get fielded or not. By the policy, scores have to be threshold scores. Threshold scores have to be at least 60%. And as we move down here, we're not having a full list of threshold scores. We do have Landy Barnes moving up the list. She's got a pair of 76s or 70s. She's got a 76 from Texas this spring and a 74 from Kansas. So I would expect her to move up this list quite a bit. We also have Jacqueline Cleary with threshold scores. If she participates in the rest of the series, she could move up this list. Where slots get allocated, though, this is one of those areas where it's up to the committee. I'm on the committee, but I'm only one member of the committee. So I would say just being in the top 4 on this list, not necessarily indicative of a team that's going to get allocated. The other thing to keep in mind, talking with some of the ladies who have been to IPSC before, for a category to be recognized at the match, there has to be at least 3 countries that field a team. So that's something to think about as well as we look at who are fielding in teams. But currently at the top of the list in open lady, we got Amory Reed, 2 solid threshold scores. I certainly believe she has potential to do another 1 or 2 in the final 2 rounds. Tina Garcia definitely could get it together and put in some threshold scores, as could Allison. And I fully expect Landy Barnes to put in another high 70 or an 80 in either or both of the next 2 rounds, depending which one she goes to. In modified lady, coming out of round 3, we were sitting at Ursula Williams in the top spot. She was on my squad, gave me lots of shenanigans during the whole match. Definitely a fun person to be shooting with at any match she attends. Second place, Lena Miklik, solid 96 from Texas, no other activity. Same thing with Hannah Nichols, a solid 70. Heather Miller, a solid 62 out of North Carolina. Coming out of round 4, we have some action, though. Lena Miklik, obviously moving up to the top of the list. Again, question of whether she is going to lead the ladies team or make the cut for the overall team. She's sitting on a pair of 96s at 192 points. Ursula Williams, the only lady with 3 scores. So she has all her 3 scores in. She can only improve from here. She's got a 67, a 63, and then a 55 that she's probably not super stoked about from Kansas. But she is sitting in second place with 186 points. Behind her is Cindy Coker with a 54 and a 52, sitting on 106. A couple of rounds to move those numbers up. And then as we go farther down into the list, Hannah Nichols did not shoot at this match. Or she may have, she's in red here, so she may have jumped divisions. But Hannah Nichols, she's sitting in 5th with a 70. I think she could put up a 70 in any tube-fed division she wants to shoot. So curious to see where she puts in scores for the rest of the series. This is, of course, unscripted, and I could eat those words within the next 30 seconds. Moving on down to Standard Lady. Standard Lady, yes. Okay, Standard Lady coming out of round 3. Becky Yackley sitting on top of the leaderboard with an 88 and a 77. No action in South Carolina. And behind her, Ashlyn Thomas, 2 solid scores this spring, 69 and a 67. And then we have a bunch of single scores as we move down. Coming out of round 4, Standard Lady, we have some more action. Becky Yackley was back in full force, adding to her score with a 78.27. She tops the board with a 244.17. Behind her, Jaylise Williams. All right, she's back, ladies and gentlemen, and she put up another 73. So Jaylise sitting on a pair of solid mid-70s for a 148.1. Also, there it is. I knew I saw Hannah there. Hannah Nichols putting in a solid 74.89 in Kansas as well. So she rounds out the 3rd spot right on the heels of Jaylise. And behind them, not present in Kansas, but still riding on her scores from the spring so far, we got Ashlyn Thomas. Crystal Perry also joined the road, or picked up the trail again. She had a solid 61 last fall, 58.31 at this particular round. I know she is not stoked with that, and I know she is super motivated for the last 2 rounds to bump those numbers up. I believe Cindy Coker has decided to move into another division, so as we get down here, we kind of have a checkerboard of scores. On to the Open Senior team. Open Senior coming out of round 3. The points were Todd Waddell at a 219, Santiago Lobos. I'm sorry, Santi. 149.0. Ron Fuchs and Han Hoppy. After our round 4, Todd Waddell still on top of the Open Senior team. Remember, we do have some overall shooters who are going to be aging into this category before the World Shoot. But currently, as we are scoring it, Todd Waddell sits atop of the list. He only added a 67.68 to his score, which I'm sure he's not stoked on. It won't actually count as one of his best 3, but he's got 2 more rounds to up those numbers, one of those being his home field. So he will have home field advantage at Forest Lake Sportsman's Club to hopefully put in another good round. Santi held on to 2nd place with a 64. Probably not stoked on that either, but he is in the number 2 spot at a 213.9. Ron Fuchs held on to 3rd with a 71.8. He also has 213, but 213.6. And Han Hoppy also holding on to 4th with a 72. His best so far. So we have a little bit of proof of life out of Han Hoppy. He may have found the fountain of youth, and who knows, he also will be playing with home field advantage in Minnesota, looking to bump those numbers up. And let's see what else we got. We got Open Super Senior. I don't think we tabulated those after round 3. At least they aren't on my list. But after round 4, we do have Open Super Senior on our list here. And at the top of that list is John Mig. Mig, I am going to butcher your last name. So the internet's forever. I'm not going to try. But Mig is sitting on a full hand of 60s. He's got a 67, a 67.5, and a 69.2. He tops the Open Super Senior with a 203.8. Behind him, JB Creech, a 38, a 40, and a 40. Not threshold scores, but it is enough to hold the 2nd spot. We do have enough time to maybe bump those numbers up. And then we have Ralph... is it Courage? Ralph Courage. That seems too simple to say. He is sitting at near threshold scores with a pair of 50s. He's got a 53.9 and 55.7. If he were to up those numbers just a little bit, I think we could have some threshold scores and some viability of an Open Super Senior team. I don't know, anybody out there, maybe we get Jerry Micklake off the couch for one last rodeo. Jerry, your country needs you. put down the fly rod, come back to us for some shooting. But that is the latest from the trail to Greece. An update on the point standing. Again, these are preliminary point standings. Just for us keeping score at home, in no way official. There is actually a committee of people who will be selecting these teams based on the published selection policy at, say it with me, folks, IPSC-USA.com. But currently, that is the points as they shake down. As always, we are brought to you by Atlas Gunworks. They don't do anything in shotguns, but they do enable Riser and I to maintain our shenanigans. So shout out to everybody at atlasgunworks.com if you're on the pistol side. I am currently here at Carry Optics Nationals doing pistol things, and hopefully we can get it together because, man, that first day was rough. And if you saw the scores, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure we'll get deep into it on a future episode of On the Perf podcast. But until then, keep those overlays handy. This has been a bonus episode of On the Perf podcast, and we'll catch you next time.